All right, Shalom. I want to start off by giving all praises to Yahweh Bashem Yahushai Bashem Rachak Quadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well, and also honor and salutations to those of you who are of the hopeful elect and are out there teaching the word in sincerity and truth. All right, so today I wanted to talk about a little bit more about the Christian mindset and um, some of what we talked about at camp last Sunday. Um, So what you had was what was a common theme, and what's always a common theme when you're talking to somebody who doesn't agree with what you say about Scripture. Um, the statement is always you're taking that out of context. You're taking that out of context. That's always the stance that they take to discredit what we're saying. There's no way we can be taking it out of context because we apply all of the scripture. As a matter of fact, let me do this. Uh, yep. This is Isaiah 20:10. It says, excuse me, for precept must be upon precept, precept upon precept, line upon line, here a little and there a little, right? And this is the way we go about reading and teaching the scriptures. We know the whole story, right? We know um, the importance of the whole story. As a matter of fact, let me get one more. I think this is Psalms. I think it's 40. You know what? Let's do it like this. Psalms 40:7. It says, "Then said I, Lo, I come in the volume of the book. It is written of me." So this is uh, how we come in. We come in with the understanding that the whole book, the whole story is important. What's interesting is they say we take things out of context, but they don't know the whole picture of Scripture. They don't deal with prophecy. They don't deal with um, the significance of biblical history. Give me a second here. Yep. They don't deal with the significance of biblical history, right? So this is the um, this is the problem, and through those things we understand that they're the ones taking it out of context, not us. We know the context, we know the story, right? And we practice it in its entirety, right? Right? We go into the Old Testament and read those stories and history about what happens to Israel. We read the New Testament and understand how they connect with each other, right? So I wanted to go to John, the third chapter, um, and talk about this, right? Because one scripture that they always bring out is John 3:16, right? I'm gonna read it real quick. It says, "For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish but have everlasting life." Right? So they tell us that we take scriptures out of context, but this is one of the only scriptures that they read. this is this is one of the only scriptures that they read, and they clearly didn't read the verses ahead of this to pull um, a little bit more about what the Lord was saying here. Um, what's interesting, what I was thinking when I was reading it, another thing that the Christians that came out to camp last week said was that we're cherry picking the scriptures. But we're cherry picking, right? We don't know what you're gonna have as a conversation, but we know what scriptures you're gonna bring out. You're gonna bring out John 3:16. You're gonna bring out Galatians 3:28. It's always the same scriptures. Uh, Romans the third chapter, right? You're always they're always bringing out the same scriptures over and over again, but we're the ones that are cherry picking, right? So I wanted to read a little bit of this. And the brother Dawad from the GMS Boston camp, the older brother that you see, he pointed this out to me one day. We were arguing with somebody about John 3:16, or maybe we weren't arguing. I can't remember exactly what made him bring it to me. But he showed this to me, and I was like, man, that's important to know. And I'm sure I've brought it out before, but I wanted to talk about it again today. So I'm all over the place. At least I feel like I am. But I'm gonna go ahead and read this. This is John 3:10. It says, Yahushua answered and said unto him, Art thou a master of Israel, and knowest not these things? Right. So just to give a little background, some context to the story, John the third chapter, it outlines a meeting between Nicodemus and the Lord Yahushua, right? And the Lord was explaining to him that a man has to be born again, and Nicodemus didn't have much understanding to what it is he was saying. But as he goes through that, explaining that, he touches on this thing right here, and I think this is important to note. Verse 11, it says, Verily, verily, I say unto thee, we speak that we do know, and testify that we have seen, and ye receive not our witness. If I have told you earthly things, and ye believe not, how shall ye believe if I tell you heavenly things? And this is our sentiment, right? We know what we're talking about, right? But you still don't receive what we're saying. It's clear, especially Sunday, that we go into the scriptures, and um most Bible, or let me say most Christians don't. They believe in the Bible, but they don't take the care of someone who says they believe in something, right? They're not as thorough as someone would be in saying that they care about something, right? So let me continue on. It says, and no man hath ascended up to heaven, but he that came down from heaven, even the Son of Man which is in heaven. And as Moses lifted up the serpent in the wilderness, even so must the Son of Man be lifted up. Now, what is this talking about? And when this brother pointed this out to me, I was like, man, that is a good point, right? So the Lord is saying here that the Son of Man must be lifted up in the same way that Moses lifted up the serpent in the wilderness. Now, if you remember this story, which I'm going to go to in just a second, if you remember this story, what was that serpent in the wilderness held up for? Right. So I think it's let me see, because I think it'll give me the cross reference. Yeah, Numbers 21. Let's go to it. Oops. This is Numbers 21, and let me read a little bit of this. Just give me a second here. I want to get a good starting point. Okay, I'm going to start at 4 right here. This is Numbers 21 and 4. It says, and they journeyed from Mount yeah, and they journeyed from Mount Hor by the way of the Red Sea to compass the land of Edom, and the soul of the people was much discouraged because of the way. And the people spake against the Most High and against Moses, wherefore have ye brought us up out of Egypt to die in the wilderness? For there is no bread, neither is there any water, and our soul loatheth this light bread. So they was complaining, man, this light bread, this little bit of bread, man. Jake is incredible, man. Oh man, you out there starving, you give him a little bit of bread. That remind me like when you see one of these panhandlers out there. They got a sign. You give them, you give them, a dollar. You give them some like some change, some loose change that you might have in the car. They look at you like you're funny. I said, God damn, man, I'm trying to help you out, and you and you looking at me all crazy. Excuse me, Jake is crazy, boy. This is Numbers 21:6. It says, "And the Lord sent fiery serpents among the people, and they bit the people, and much people of Israel died." Right. So this was a punishment that the Lord um had put upon Israel because of their murmuring, right? Their ungratefulness, right? It says, "Therefore the people came to Moses and said, We have sinned, for we have spoken against the Lord and against thee. Pray unto the Lord that he take away the serpents from us." And Moses prayed for the people, right? Verse 8, it says, "And the Lord said unto Moses, Make thee a fiery serpent," right? Which is what the Lord was referencing in John the 3rd chapter. It says, "Make thee a fiery serpent and set it upon a pole, and it shall come to pass that every one that is bitten, when he looketh upon it, shall live." And Moses made a serpent of brass and put it upon a pole. And it came to pass that if a serpent had bitten any man, when he beheld the serpent of brass, he lived. Right? So this brazen serpent, right? Or the serpent of brass, when it was held up and the people looked upon it, they were healed, right? And who was the people? The nation of Israel, right? So one thing I learned in reading the scriptures as over the years is that when there's an analogy or a metaphor or a simile or a parable, it's consistent all the way through, right? And if the Lord is saying that the Son of Man has to be held up like this serpent, he's also being held up to the same people that the serpent was being held up to. So that's the context of John 3:16, right? We read John 3:16, and he makes a note like Moses held up the brazen serpent, and then all of a sudden it just turns into everybody. No, when he held up that brazen serpent, that wasn't for the whole world. It was for the nation of Israel to heal from those bites from those serpents, man. You see, that's the context of John 3:16. Right? And we always go into, you can really get into it even further, the word world and the Greek, right? You can get into it deeply, man. That John 3:16 doesn't just, you can't just take it and say that's what it means. It means the whole world. And it just shows a low level of understanding of the scriptures, right? That was one of the first things I learned was that there's three different you'll find three different Greek words for the word world. You got cosmos, which is right there in John 3:16. You got oikomene, and then you got eon, right? Eon being a time period, oikomene meaning the whole inhabited earth, and cosmos, of course, being a selection of a selection or a number of things from a larger number of things, right? Like when you say the world of chess, or you say the world of sports, or you say the world of music, right? The world of music is a world out of an entire different world, right? Or a larger world that it comes out of, right? And that's what the word cosmos means, right? And if in that being one of the first things I've learned, it just goes to show that they don't learn much in the Christian church. So that's it, man. That's all I had. Hopefully that was edifying. Want to give all praises to Yahweh Bashem, Yahweh Shai, Bashem Rachak Dash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Honor salutations to the elect. And with that, I say shalom.